Hey there, everyone. Hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear. Thanks for joining. I don't know how many people are here. Presumably not that many. But, you know, as it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Oh, I see. Hold on. One sec. Got the world's tiniest chat box here. Let's actually see what's going on. Yee. Hey, Mandy. What is up? Thanks for joining. Here, it's actually probably better for me to just switch over to this. What's up, everyone? Hello. I gotta fix all my chat boxes. This is what happens when you change every single scene. I feel like I've changed my theme every single time I stream. But whatever. Hey, everyone. Molly's going to join in a bit to kind of help keep me on track with everything. Let me actually turn this down a smidge. Allison's hiding over in the corner over there. Hello. Just hanging out over there. I couldn't figure out how to get a second microphone up in time. I'm sorry. But you can still, like, you know, hop in. I'm monitoring this Strem chats and everything all over here. Like I said, Molly's going to hop on in a bit to kind of help guide some of the conversation. But thanks for hopping in. Mandy says, hi, Allison. So, yeah, I have a couple of things laid out. I'm going to kind of talk about the inspiration, the story behind the album. I'm going to show some early demos, some early compositions and stuff. Hopefully it all comes through like it's supposed to. We tested this out a couple of hours ago and everything was working fine. So hopefully it's all good to go. And if not, we'll figure something else out. But for those of you who are maybe watching this in the future after the fact, I am going to record this and upload it to the official Mostly Strangers stuff. So that people can kind of get a little bit of a background on the album and see some of this stuff. So buckle up. There's a lot to show and a lot to kind of talk about so that I can finally be done with this thing. And then we'll kind of go on from there. Let me actually go ahead and fade out this music. Cool. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, whatever, as we kind of go through today, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I'm going to be monitoring as much as I can all three of those locations, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Obviously, the Twitch chat is going to be up on screen here, so you can hop on Twitch if you want to kind of get more involved there. Yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that, anything specific that you want to see or learn more about, let me know, and I'll try to cover it. Before Molly gets in, a couple of things I guess I can kind of talk about. Well, I mean, first and foremost, if you didn't know, I have an album out with Mostly Strangers. My name is James. Those of you, I mean, everyone who's watching this already knows that. But I've got an album out with Mostly Strangers called Gone. It came out 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago?
Sounds right.
Yeah, 2 weeks. No, 2 weeks. Only a week? No, it can't be.
A week and 3 days.
A week and 3 days, really?
Yeah.
Time is a flat circle. This time has been insane. If you want to pick up some merch or a CD or whatever, you can check out mostlystrangersmusic.com and check out all that stuff. A couple of you picked up merch, which I'm really, really grateful and appreciative for. That's super cool of you guys. Just making sure I'm looking at everywhere. A week and a half, says Mandy. Well, you know. I got my CD in the mail today. Yeah, I saw. I saw you post about it. I appreciate that. Thank you for buying one. I could have just brought one. I'm down in Atlanta next week. So those are my Atlanta friends who might be listening. I'll be down in Atlanta next week, actually, doing some music that is not Mostly Strangers related. So that'll be exciting. Okay, cool. That's enough shilling. Let's get into kind of talking about the album. So, Gone. Gone is a 9-track album that has taken me so many years to get out to the world and see the light of day. Short, like kind of like intro into like leaning into like how I even got into starting to write Gone. This is like post graduation. This is like, hey Brandon, good to see you too. My biggest fans are my family, my brother and sister. So I got into after graduating from college, getting my undergrad in composition. I moved to New York. I got a new job and moved up to New York, and I was kind of using that as a fresh start to kind of like start new projects. I had a couple of composition, like contemporary composition stuff on the docket. People were reaching out, and I was getting commissioned to do some stuff. And then, who could have guessed the pandemic hit? It kind of shut a lot of that like contemporary classical music stuff down. Thankfully for me, I had already been interested in and been doing a couple of covers of songs for like a alt punk contemporary rock group, or I've been like practicing by doing covers of like Motion City soundtrack songs and Say Anything songs and things like that, which your mileage may vary on if you find those and think that those are okay. I think that they're trash, but yeah, you got to start somewhere. So that's I cut my teeth on some of those covers, and then pandemic hit, and I was like, you know what, I want to keep making music. Let me try to make music like this way, like in a rock group or whatever. Unsure exactly how I was going to even do any of that because I've never done anything like this before, like literally ever. And I don't know. I kind of started out with what I knew, which was actually writing things down, like on. Oh, I hear Molly. I don't know if you're there, but you're muted on the other line. Here, I'll mute you for safety. So yeah, well, I started where like I knew I could start, which was like writing music down. Like I started writing music sort of like a like a chamber piece of music, like I knew I needed a guitar and bass and whatever, and I started like copying it down like a composer would, which is why some of the songs on the album sound the way they do. So and I'm not sure if I mentioned this already explicitly. I think I've said it in a couple of different posts, but like the album, the Gone was written before Where the Heart Is, which was the EP that I debuted with. These songs were the first things that I tried to like foray with, and I wasn't sure exactly. I know I'm a broken record. I wasn't sure exactly what like how to do what I wanted to do or what I wanted to try to do. So the album has a lot of like influences of like bands that I listen to. There's a lot of Motion City Soundtrack. There's a lot of Say Anything. There's like My Chemical Romance and Microwave influences. And I tried to do my best to basically emulate those things. Because again, my only experience doing any kind of like, rock stuff was through my covers. So I approached it that way. I was like, let me think of how to like write music. So I wrote it down as a composition thing, and then like, use those influences from my cover stuff to like write the music out. So I mean, I don't know. That was meandering. I don't know if that's interesting at all to people, but like that's sort of like how I eased into the start of this project. Basically, it was a pandemic band, like a lot of bands were. that came out of the last couple of years. I saw a lot of friends and people start up their own contemporary stuff, which is amazing. And it's kind of cool that we all started this, making the best of a bad situation. So, as kind of like, hey there, I'm not sure who's, somebody gave me a heart on Facebook. Thank you. So I'm stalling for time until Molly gets here. That's basically what's happening, because I want her to be on before I start like diving into the actual demos and early compositions and stuff. Concept for the COVID bad. Yes, it's true. COVID is bad. So it's something Mandy said. Are you watching the stream? No. Yeah, I figured not. You're like right here. Why would you?
I opened it for a second though, because it was suggested to me.
What's up, homie? Hey, Dwayne. Nice to see you. Let me kind of readjust all of my stuff here. Happy you could join in. You haven't missed much. I just kind of got started here. I'm trying to adjust all this stuff. Man, it's going to be so hard to see. Dwayne, you're just going to have to deal with your name being kind of off the screen there. I'm not running a professional streaming business here. If you got any questions, drop them in chat, but I was just kind of like talking about the inspirations and early stuff. Anyway, concept, idea, coming up with like, because like you got to understand, like from where I was coming from, the thing that I loved to do most is like write big band pieces. I was in band, for like 9 years or something like that. That was like my main foray and like connection to music. I did band all through high school and all through college and all this stuff. And the thing that I loved is writing these grand, large things. It actually got me into a lot of trouble in music school as a composer, because people were like, you got to start small and do chamber stuff and start with like whatever. And I went straight into like writing huge, like 30-piece, band and orchestra pieces. So, and with all of those things, I always approached it with like an idea or a concept, or like I don't start writing stuff before I have an idea of what I'm trying to do. So similar approach to the album. I knew I wanted to write a rock contemporary album of some kind, and with the addition of vocals, I can like start telling a story in like a more like direct way. Whereas like with my like contemporary music or my classical music, I keep mixing the two. With just instruments, you have to kind of convey those messages and those feelings and that story in ways that don't use words. You have to kind of like give people a journey to go through. So that's kind of the way that I approach the album. What is chamber stuff? So chamber music is like smaller than a band or an orchestra. It's like a string quartet or like a woodwind trio or like a guitar duo or a flute and piano duet or whatever. That's like considered chamber music. I actually don't know the etymology, but I assume it's based off of like being able to play it in a small chamber, being able to put the performers in a small chamber room and have them perform. But there you go. So with that in mind, I thought, and you got to also understand too, like coming off of like graduating and coming off of some of the more serious stuff I was trying to tackle, there was a lot going on in my life at the time. There was a lot of like not good stuff aside from the pandemic that was going on. And a lot of the music that I was writing, the classical music I was writing was reflecting, that kind of stuff. It was reflecting the darker kind of side of things. And that's where I like to explore, is like darker concepts. So the big major project that happened before Gone was Transition Music, which was my senior recital when I, to graduate. And it was all about like the liminal transitional space between like the moments of our lives. And so like Gone, it was sort of a natural transition, ironically, into the concept for what I was doing for that. I knew I wanted to tackle some darker subjects. I knew I wanted to tackle a lot of my fears, and I wanted to try to get those out in the world as a sort of like catharsis or therapy for me, I guess. Um, and so that's kind of as where I started like getting into it. So from this point forward, I will say spoiler warning, because a lot of like the people who I'm inspired by are people like Justin Courtney Pierre from from Motion City Soundtrack, who does not like to reveal the meanings behind, his songs that much. He really likes to keep it up to interpretation, and I'm in agreement. I don't like just spilling out and spelling out for people what I think that you should think about the music that I'm putting out. I love people to have their own kind of idea about what they think the music should be. Am I rambling too much? Probably. So spoiler warning from this point forward. If you haven't listened to the album and want to like get your own like whatever, you should probably watch the stream later. But if you want to kind of learn more and use this as a kick to like get into the album and learn more about like what each song is talking about and what the concept is, I'm going to spell it out for you now moving forward in the stream. So yeah, the album is 3 different stories kind of playing out simultaneously. There's like obviously the me personal like stuff that's being poured into the album, just because that's all artists pour their personal experiences into things, whether or not they're conceptual or not. So there's that. There is the like literal interpretation of the album, which is this protagonist, this guy struggling with loss and struggling with his fears and kind of coming into terms with stuff. Oh, looks like Molly's coming in. Looks like I've stalled long enough. Molly, hello. I'll let her get set up. Coming into the coming into like experiencing loss and experiencing that kind of stuff, like experiencing fear and all of that. And then the third is the like hierarchical, like higher level, like I guess like holistic message about like what it means to let something go and what it means to lose it and what it means to like the consequences of those actions and the consequences of that happening to people. Molly, are you still on the Zencastr? Are you still on Zencastr, Molly?
I am.
Okay, cool. Oh, there you are. Let me switch over to you and fix this stuff.
Okay.
Molly's in. Nope, wrong one.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Okay, let me adjust this and get it right. There you are.
Hi.
Hey, it's Molly.
Hello.
I do a podcast with Molly. That's mainly where she's from, but she's also featured. She was featured on Where the Heart Is, and also featured in this album as well.
I make a little phone call.
Yeah, she does make a little phone call, but she's gonna help me kind of stay on track because I've been rambling a bit. Mandy says hi, Molly.
Hi.
I don't know if you have the stream up or anything, if you can like see chat, but
I can't see anything.
That's fine. All you need is me.
I can't even see you.
Oh, hold on. I know what I need to do. There we go. Can you see me now?
Hi, friend.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting because you're not looking at stream at all, and I am. So
yeah,
like I can draw mustaches on you or whatever.
Don't do that.
Anyway, so I was just kind of getting into like the concepts of like the story behind the album and everything, and like the 3 different like things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but before we get into that, because you missed a little bit, or do you have like any questions or any like guiding conversations about like the inspiration or how the project started? Because I was explaining how this is like the start of Mostly Strangers. This is kind of like where we begin with all of this. And you were around, like, you know, Molly and I have been best friends for a long time, so like you were around for a lot of this, which is another reason I wanted her to come on, so that she has, you know, that stuff.
Well,
Shoot.
okay. So, did you have like a particular catalyst for making Mostly Strangers?
Well, pandemic. I explained this a little bit earlier. Like, pandemic was a
Mhm.
big push for it. Like, I already wanted to. I've always wanted to, and I've said this for a while. Like, I've always wanted to do something like this. It was actually one of my exes. I've said this many times all across social media. It was one of my exes who said, I tried doing this like a long time ago, and she was like, stick to what you're good at, basically. I think not even like basically. I think verbatim. That's what she said. Stick to what you're good at. When I tried to write something more contemporary. And so I spent the next, I don't know, like 8 years not doing the thing that I felt like I really wanted to do. And I used moving to New York as like a big change. You know, like New York was like moving was like a big moment for me to say, I'm going to change and do stuff different. So
Right.
that's kind of what happened there. Those were the main catalysts for me starting this project.
Do you think that maybe too, after being at Georgia State University, that you kind of prove to yourself like I am a good composer and I can actually do this?
Well, no, actually,
Oh.
interestingly, I don't think that. Um, I don't think that. Um, like classical, like writing, the stuff that I was doing in school and this are actually that related. Like I didn't feel like I knew at all how to translate writing like classical stuff to contemporary writing. I had no bridge for that. So I knew I was starting from ground zero again, basically. I guess not like actually, because I know how to like I knew how to write music and I knew how to like weave a story in sound. So,
Right.
but I had never done like contemporary stuff, which is different. I feel like, and this is no knock at like contemporary music or like rock or alternative music or whatever, but it's a little bit less cerebral, I think, than classical music by nature of what it is. I was explaining this earlier that like especially with like orchestra pieces and band pieces and stuff, like you don't have voices. You don't have like a person saying to you what's happening in the story. So you have to kind of like convey that through other means, through other mediums. And so by virtue of that, it's a little bit more cerebral. You have to think about those concepts more as you listen to the music.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So
I don't think I knew that.
yeah, no, it's true. It's the project. There was no like big like moment that was like I was hit by a car and survived and felt like I had to do it. It's just kind of like a thing that felt natural for me. It was felt like the natural next step, I guess.
And the actual storytelling that happens in this album, was that something, did you have a particular catalyst for that?
Yeah, so this is where you just kind of hopped in. Actually, I was talking a little bit about this. Like you know, like the last big thing before Mostly Strangers was transition music, was my recital.
Yes.
And I was tackling a lot of like themes of you know, there was a lot of themes happening, a lot of transitions, a lot of dark stuff happening.
Yes.
And so it felt like the right next step to just kind of like, if I was going to do a contemporary thing, to tackle some of those fears that I was having, like right away, to like get it distilled down, because music has always been therapeutic for me. But instead of being like vague in some of my like more contemporary stuff, I wanted to be very like direct in how I wanted to like tell the story, because now I could have the voice, I could have like singing and whatever, helping people guide through it. And so I guess that was kind of like what got me into the story, what got me like starting to think about the story. So I actually wrote down like a huge, like, like manifesto, I guess, for lack of better words. It's like basically the concept. I wrote down like an entire like what do they call it in like the world of film and television? It's like a show bible, basically. It's like an album bible where like I was like I'm gonna write this story, and the songs that I write are going to be they have to follow this story, right? So like, and that
Sure.
I don't know if you know this, but I said this a little bit earlier before you joined, but that's how I write music. Like my even my classical stuff. I don't put stuff on paper until I have a concept or a story or an idea.
I did know that.
Like I don't just like start writing and then I come up with the story. Like I have to have a
Right.
clear goal and story and direction in mind.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why your music is very good at like evoking emotion, because it is telling a story.
Yeah.
Whether it's very specific or very objective, it's telling a story.
Yeah. So I have the concept here. I have the original concept listed here. I guess I can like read some of this so that
I think
to
I've
get
heard this.
to give people an idea of like where I was starting and where my head was. And then we'll get into some demos. I'll show some early demos, and I think the best way for us to do this is to kind of like go song by song and talk about like the concept and whatnot. So here we go. And this it's so weird how art imitates life, by the way. I will say this up front because I wrote this concept before like my breakup happened. I wrote this before like all the crazy like COVID stuff happened. I wrote this before all of that, and it's crazy. Like I'm just looking at the first paragraph about how much art imitates life, or life imitates art, I guess in this case. Okay, so here we go. So the album was originally called Seriously Gone, not just Gone. It was called Seriously Gone, and actually, funny story. Seriously Gone was going to be the name of the band, not Mostly Strangers. I was going to call it Seriously Gone, and then I was like, I don't know, it doesn't sound right for a band. Mostly Strangers felt better, and I went into those. Sorry, there's a chat message I'm trying to read as well. But I went into one of those like band name generators. All American Rejects is famous for this. Like they went into a name generator and did that. And I basically went into a generator, typed in I think the word stranger because I wanted to have that in there, and went down a list. And then Mostly Strangers came up, and I just basically every time like a name combination came up that I liked, I had to check it online to see if another band already existed with that name, and nobody had Mostly Strangers, so that's kind of what
because it like really fits.
It honestly does, and that like again that probably helped guide the concept for this project,
right?
And everything like life imitating art and all that.
Yes.
Mandy wrote something. To me, it was very honest, refreshingly unapologetic. I know for me, knowing you personally, I was nervous about what I would hear, but definitely sounded hopeful as well. Yeah. And we'll get into that. Like, I wanted to like leave a message. Like, it's a dark album. It's a cautionary tale of an album too. Like, there's a lot of like cautionary stuff in it, but like ultimately, it's one of those things where like I feel like I wanted to give people a way to, and I wanted to also like write out a way to like experience all of this true tragedy and use it as a lesson where like nobody gets hurt, right? Like it's like in the world of the album, like in the real world, nothing happened. Like these people don't exist. So that's kind of the way that I wanted to direct it. Anyway. Okay. I'll stop stalling. So here it was. It's Mostly Strangers, Seriously Gone. This was the actual concept, and it says 2019, but I think it was a little bit earlier than this. I must have gone back and revised it in here because I started writing this concept like a long time ago. Hey Lauren, I see you in chat. Good to see you. Okay, here's the concept. The singer equates loneliness with death, and believes love/relationships are the only way to not be lonely. That's kind of like the main hierarchy of like this whole thing. After a tragic breakup that resulted in his previous girlfriend committing suicide, this is kind of like the jumping off point for this. And again, for those of you listening, this was the original concept, and some of this like changed and got different. But this is kind of like what I used to guide all of this.
Right.
The album is about being afraid of letting go and ultimately coming to terms with letting go. It's about being afraid to like lose all of that and being afraid of like what that brings, and then ultimately learning to like let go, but probably not in the way that you think. Because like people might say, letting go is like a good thing, but sometimes letting go is also like not good, and sometimes people take letting go too far, as we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yes.
The album starts at the end of the singer's recent stroke of turmoil. His girlfriend broke up with him, and while there's some unspoken trauma that happened in the relationship, he's simply using his heartbreak as a distraction, an excuse not to deal with his lack of belonging and fear of the end, specifically facing his fear of death. Pensive starts at the end of the album after the singer has completed their journey. People are trying to reach out and leave messages on their phone. We're not really sure yet what has happened and have happened yet, as we have to yet to listen to the album. We have to listen to it to understand how the story ends. As the song ends, we transition into what the singer perceives as, the end of this, the breakup. Like he's thinking about like the breakup as the end of all this stuff, which is like a weird foreshadowing thing because we now know in Pensive that's like how the story actually is ending, as we'll get to a little bit later. So Fresh Start opens with both the main conceit of the album and the singer's hamartia, or fatal flaw. Life goes on. It's the first words that appear, like that he actually sings on the album. And I wanted to make that very clear as the first words that you hear, and why that concept keeps coming back and we revisit it. Because it's true. Life does kind of go on. And usually when we're like going through stuff, it's one of the things I hated hearing from people. It's just like, well, life goes on.
Yeah.
And it's true, but like that's not helpful for people in that like moment, like it's true, but like nobody wants to hear it.
Right.
So anyway, life goes on. The singer clings to this phrase, but only understands it as a way to run from the things that have happened without ever facing them. He feints being an optimist, singing about moving on, and that the heartache will only be temporary, unaware of what he's just been through. That what he's just been through has been stamped on him forever. So he's very like life goes on, everything's fine. I'm gonna make this. That's why like Fresh Start is a very, I wanted to write it in a very like triumphant, like confident way. Like it sounds like a confident album or anthem for like life going on and moving forward with all of that.
Right.
So I won't like read the whole thing. Let's start out there. Let's show some demos of Pensive, Fresh Start, and talk about that a little bit. So let me, whoops. I got all of my stuff messing up over here. Here we go. Thanks for bearing with us, guys. You guys are the bee's knees. Where am I going? With guest. Okay, cool. So let's be brought into here. This background's not going to do. I'm not going to be able to read chat at all. Oops.
Uh-oh.
Oops. Here, I'll put chat up there. That'll have to do.
I can't see any of that. So
I know, but I want to be able to see if people are saying stuff. Okay, so here is where I started. Because, like I said, and so Molly, what I'm showing is like the score of Pensive, of where I started with this. This actually was one of the first. I think Bleach actually I started writing before this, in terms of like the composition, but Pensive was I think the second thing I ever started writing, like before Mostly Strangers was even like you know, like maybe a year or two before I even thought of the idea of Mostly Strangers, I wrote down this melody. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do to it. And then after I kind of wrote some more of the rest of the album, I came back and revisited this and decided that this was going to be how the album starts. I don't know. Let's just hear it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
hear it.
play it. Let's hear it. So this is the early first demo, like compositional demo of Pensive. Let's see if it'll load up here. And yeah, I'm using Noteflight. What of it? Step off.
I'm not judging.
No, all of my composer friends will judge me. It's building. It's building. It's building. It's gonna work. Hopefully, it's not too loud, Molly.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, stop. Actually, pause. Because I'm gonna see.
I was vibing.
I know. I'll play the actual demo. I know. I'm blue balling people here. Let me. I'm trying to find, because one of these is yes. So here's the interesting thing, actually. Pensive used to have lyrics. The opening of the album actually had like words to it. And I might be able to find the actual lyrics somewhere. But I want to play a little bit of this version first, which has like the lyrical line in it. And then I'll switch over to the actual final demo. So let's see if this will... Oh, God. Yeah, okay, cool. So anyway, there's like I wrote out
That
like a...
melody.
Yeah.
I want to know now.
What?
What was?
No, I Want to Know is a different song.
So what?
I Want to Know is a different song.
No. The melody is very nice. Now I want to know what the lyrics were.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up. Pensive.
Should do like a deep cuts release, you know.
Let's see. Nope.
They're just gone forever.
I think I don't have it anymore.
Dang.
Yeah, I don't think I have it anymore, unfortunately. At least not immediately ready to me. But yeah, no, it had lyrics, and I don't know.
My own lyrics.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, so I'll leave that. So the actual official like final demo that happened wasn't that different. Like most of it is pretty much the same. It just goes on for a little bit longer, and I added this cool like bass line in the bottom.
Yeah.
And the key changed, obviously. Anyway, so I added this like synth line up at the top. This like do 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 do. And these ostinatos are like, you know, what I'm famous for, I guess. It's what John Mackey's famous for, but like these like shimmery ostinatos going on. Super important. And there's a lot of like these
Savior John Mackey.
Yeah. There's a lot of these concepts that come back and get revisited, that I'll try to point out. But Pensive has and the other kind of like cool thing to keep in mind here too is that most of the album is in 4/4, like most of but the first song, Pensive, and Fresh Start, because they're together. The middle song, It's All Coming Back, which is actually in 6/8, but like it's a
I
weird
love that
3/4
song.
variation, and Bleach are all in 3/4. And I wanted to like really explore that because so the first song, the middle song, and the last song are all in 3/4 because it's like a literal like. For those of you who are uninitiated, like 3/4 is like a very cyclical, like circular time
Yes.
signature. And I wanted to get that concept of life goes on, like this idea of like it's this circle of life, I guess, for lack of better words. Don't sue me, Elton John. It's like a circle of life, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to get that idea, so that's why the first
Well,
and
and
last
the
and middle
album itself is
is cyclic,
circular.
is circular,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you in theory should be able to listen to it, and it just kind of like keeps going.
Yes.
Life goes on as I wanted to like
it's literally starting at the end.
yeah, I wanted to hammer that home like in the writing.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that you didn't add more like detail or explanation when you released the album.
What do you mean?
Because- Well, I mean, like,
Well, I told you. Oh, well, actually, maybe you weren't on this part of the call, but like, I don't like telling people.
no, I know you don't.
You know.
But I think that at least saying like, "Hey, this song starts at the end," type thing. Like,
Allison
I
said
think
the
people
same
would get
thing.
more out of it.
Allison said that nobody would get it unless I told them. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't like being so heavy-handed with all that stuff.
But people like that, and I've told you this before. People
Yeah,
like
yeah.
knowing
Well,
the
we're
tea.
here now. We're here now. I'm giving it to you.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Anyway, so this transitions into Fresh Start, which originally again I wrote Pensive on its own like 2 years before Mostly Strangers, and then when I knew what the concept of the album was going to be, I knew I wanted this transition to happen into Fresh Start. So you'll hear it, the top ostinato, the do 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 do. The amount of times I've got one of your ostinatos stuck in my head. Sarah Landreth. Hey Sarah, good to see you. Yeah, so the do 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 like transitions into I like being spoon fed everything. She is right. Mandy said that.
I'm just saying.
Anyway,
People
so
like knowing the tea.
the transition into Fresh Start, you'll hear the ostinato becomes the triplet rhythm of a Fresh Start, furthering this like things come in three cyclical like whatever pattern of it. So I'll play this here, see if it
Oh, I see what you're doing here.
yeah. So there's that like
Mhm.
there's that like transition into it like in
Yeah.
threes.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I wanted that to come in like a gut punch, like
Yeah.
because again, with the concept, it starts at the end. Like it starts at the end of all of this, and I wanted that transition into like the modern, like into the start of the story, to like really like hit you. Like it's like
Right.
because it's like it's hitting the protagonist. Like it's like this is happening suddenly for him, and instead of facing it, he's running immediately. He's like life goes on. I'm moving on.
Time for
I'm
a
not
fresh
going to be
start.
bogged down with this. It's time for a fresh start, So that's kind of like where we begin with this. And actually, there's no lyrics, I don't think, in this demo. Oh, nope, I'm wrong. There is. Let me reload it because it's there's madness happening with the Note Flight takes so much RAM for some reason.
Can't relate.
Even though it's a web-based thing. Hey. What a
She
cutie.
can't hear you.
Well, whatever. She wishes she could.
No, she loves me the most now.
All right, let's get into Fresh Start, the demo for this. All those harmonies. I forgot that I had those in there. Okay, cool. That's enough to give you an idea of it. So, early concept of this, and actually, I think I think Fresh Start was the first thing I actually recorded, demoed, in my apartment in New York. I remember exactly where I was and exactly the setup. So we'll get into that in just a second. Sarah said, "I was here for the music, but now I'm here for Molly's cat."
Ironically, it's Allison's
It
cat.
is Allison's cat. So, whatever. Flat circle and all that.
Yes. What's mine is hers. What's hers is mine.
It's true. And so, again, this was Fresh Start, I think, came later. Pensive was first, or Bleach I wrote first, and Pensive came next. I don't think I came back and wrote Fresh Start until I had written a couple of other songs on the album.
Okay.
But I came back and did this. By the way, I don't think that this is typical for people to write out all the music like this. I think that bands just
I
get
have
in a
no idea.
room and play stuff and jam and whatever. But this is the only way that I know to get my ideas down. So this is where we're at. So anyway, there was the original demos. Now I want to open up the actual demo project. And let's hear what it sounded like in my apartment in New York
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, however long it was.
Get that garage band feel.
Oh no.
Oh no. What'd
Okay.
you do?
Oh, it's still there. I'm just trying to close out of Note Flight so it's not going all crazy on me. And actually, let me close out of this, and let me close out of this. Okay. So here's what the actual demo project looked like. Molly, you're missing out. But here's what the demo and I know people are gonna look at this and it's so messy. Yeah, it is, because I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue what the heck I was doing with all this stuff,
I don't.
and I still don't.
I don't know.
But anyway, this was the first thing I actually tracked and laid down in my apartment in New York. So let's hear what we got. Oh, by the way, funny story about the voicemails. So you're one of the voicemails.
Yes.
The first voicemail we hear is actually Noah Samuelson, who, again, life is a flat circle. I'm flying down to Atlanta next week, and he's premiering another one of my pieces. Noah Samuelson's premiering another piece of
Yeah.
mine next week. This was not planned or coordinated or anything. So it's
Not
just
at all.
it's just weird how this happened. But no, it was one of those people. So a while ago, I asked for a whole bunch of voicemails. I think I posted on Facebook or something.
You did.
I posted my number, posted a lot of voicemails and stuff. I was still in my previous relationship when all that was happening. And actually, the opening voicemail was different, and it was my ex. And obviously, I couldn't keep that in. So it actually worked out well because I had written a thing, I had written a script for the opening, And Noah's voicemail came in, and I was like, "This is way better than what I have written in terms of like, because like it works well with the concept of what I was going for, about
Right.
kind of like I'm just floating on the waves. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This kind of like idea. And then you come in, and with the Nothing Lasts Forever, which also wasn't
Nothing
wasn't
lasts
like
forever.
wasn't
That
like
was
really
not scripted.
planned. It wasn't scripted, but like it worked well with the album concept later, because the second big idea after Life Goes On being the first one is Forever, which we'll get into in a
Well,
second.
and when I left that voicemail, I was trying to think of like the main concepts of the album,
hmm
but also what was going on in your life.
Yeah.
And that's what I came up with.
Yeah. I captured a lot of these voicemails like a month before my last relationship ended. So
Yeah.
like we'll talk about that a little bit more. Like there's a lot of like crossover with some of this stuff. But
There is.
anyway, Cesar did some voicemail stuff. A lot of people sent in some really good voicemails.
Mhm.
And I had like a bigger idea to have like just like a wall of sound of the voicemails in the chorus of Pensive, but I ultimately decided not to do that. But yeah, so the voicemails in this. The only one that was scripted, I don't know if she's still on, but Lauren, I did send her a script for her
Which
outro
is the last
one.
voicemail of Pensive.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's the stand-in for like this girl, right? And
Right.
it actually is a tie-over from Where the Heart Is. So Where the Heart Is came out first, but it is written as a prequel to Gone. Hey, Lauren,
Yes.
still here. It is written as a prequel to Gone. So like Lauren lent her voice to Hallelujah, the like in the transition between like the raucous section of Hallelujah, and that was sort of like the stand-in voice for this same girl who instigated and was the catalyst for all the stuff that's happening in Gone. So it was only natural for her to come back and do the voice for it again. So really appreciate you, Lauren, for doing that. So anyway, so that's all the voicemail stuff. So let's hear what these early demos sounded like.
Hey man, it's me. Just calling, just feel how the day's going. Life is getting really weird, so just figured I'd do something different for the day, Just like trying to figure out how I'm going through, how I'm going to get through, how I'm going to get by. But you know what? Time is a passive ocean, so I'm not too sure what I'm going to do besides float on the waves. Call me back sometime, man. Night, peace.
Hi, it's me. Just calling in to check on you. Haven't talked in a minute. Just seemed kind of down the other day.
So I know I keep starting and stopping, but so it's interesting. Like my idea for the drums was different than what Glenn sent me, and I want to say on the record that everything Glenn sent me was better than what I had written.
Right.
But there are a couple of songs that we'll hear that are vastly different in mood and style than what I was going for. Like this, I wanted to like really be a slow creep and build in.
Calling in to check on
So
you.
the drums are coming in like very like low. It's like
Seemed kind of down the other day. So I just wanted
which
to
if we ever did this live, maybe we'll revisit this kind of
Things suck
idea.
right now, but it doesn't last forever. So just give me a call if you can. Bye. I hope that you're doing okay. Heard that you were struggling. Wanted to give you a call and check in on you. Love you. Bye.
It's me. I know you only did what you did because you thought it was best for both of us, but I don't like that you made that decision for me. Tonight, I just want to decide something for myself. Not for you, not for anybody else, but for me, I just hope you don't blame yourself. Alright, this is goodbye, I guess.
Okay, cool. So that was the original. So not much changed, to be honest, from the final thing. Yes, for those of you watching, that is me playing in my bedroom in New York. Yeah, let me single in on one of these. It's very like gritty.
Oh, nice.
It's very raw. Anyway,
Nice.
including this bass, that was me too.
Okay. I see you.
Anyway, and this is why I outsource to other players, because I'm only okay. I'm only decent. I did all the stuff on Where the Heart Is, but for this, you know, when Caleb came in, he redid a lot of it. The solo, I think, is the exact same though. I think that we took this exact solo.
That's you.
Yeah, that's me.
Nice.
It's very simple. It's just like a very simple melody.
I mean, I can't play at all, so.
And it was very improvised. And by the way, I just saw Lauren. It was really fun to do. It only took me 50 tries, which I don't think that's true. I don't know. Maybe, but thanks for doing it.
That was me and Ride Those Coattails. So.
That's true. I remember coming over and recording that.
I was stressed. I was freaking out. Like
Anyway.
I hadn't performed at
Yeah.
all in my life ever.
No, but it turned out great, so
Thanks.
it's fine. Anyway, so that was the original. That was me in my bedroom. I remember exactly where I was, sitting on my couch. This couch actually right over here. That was in my tiny apartment in New York.
That's the
like
same
playing
couch?
this. Yeah, this one down here downstairs. Yeah, it's the same one.
Mm.
So anyway, and then we get into Fresh Start. I'm not gonna play all this because I didn't send you most of them.
okay,
I had to delete
But
so
also,
many.
before we move on,
Yeah.
Lauren's voicemail in particular. So storyline wise, she's calling because she just broke it off.
Yeah. So
and she doesn't know that the main character is
Oh,
not alive.
no.
anymore.
So okay, sorry. Yeah, let me back up on this.
Okay.
So in Pensive, the first voicemails you hear are at the end of the story, right? Like the first things you
Right.
hear are people haven't heard from him in a couple days, and they're like trying to call,
Gotcha.
like trying to check in on him. Like people
Right.
knew that he was like not doing great because of the breakup and stuff. But you know that. But then at this moment, it's going to be loud, I think. So
Mhm.
like you hear like we're transitioning out of the end of that story into the beginning
Okay.
of this. And so the voicemail that you hear, so Lauren's voicemail is this girl's last voicemail to him before she commits suicide. And so again,
Ah.
full big circles, right? So like he's ultimately at the end going to do the same thing, spoiler alert. And this is the last voicemail that she sends to him. And that's why at the end there's a voicemail from him to the number that doesn't exist anymore. So anyway, I thought about all this. There's many layers to all of this.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
Hey, it's me. I know you only did what you did because you thought it was.
he also
best
never
for
told
both
me
of
I
us.
was dead, said Lauren.
I don't like that you made that decision for me. Tonight?
Yeah, no, I kept it very under wraps from everybody involved.
Yeah, I like kind of knew what was going on, but I don't know if I
Molly,
knew all
you
that.
knew because like we listened to some of these early demos. You actually heard
We
these early
did.
demos sitting on your couch like years
Yes.
ago,
Yeah,
a couple
when I-
years ago.
I had just moved into that house.
Yeah,
Yep.
you had heard these early demos, but yeah, Lauren
I
said
had.
he never told me I was dead. Whoops. I didn't tell a lot of people who were on this project what was going on because I like playing my cards really close to my chest, and maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I don't know, but But anyway, yeah, that's the idea. That's the concept here as we transition into Life Goes On, or sorry, not Life, into Fresh Start. That's kind of like where we're at with this.
All right.
Okay, have you ever heard of the album Trainwreck by Boys Night Out? It's giving me that sort of vibe. I don't think I have, so I'll have to add it to my listening list. Really cool to hear you. Oh, hey, Caleb, the producer. Hey, Caleb. He says that he is watching. Caleb is obviously the producer for the album. I'll talk a little bit more about this a little bit later once we get past like demos and stuff. But Caleb really pulled these demos and like just did amazing stuff with it. So really, really big shout out to Caleb. See you watching. He just said, I'm watching the stream, don't have Twitch, so it won't let me comment or interact. Really cool to hear you explaining stuff in such a personal way. I'm enjoying this. So thanks, Caleb. Really, really appreciate it. I have a different podcast coming out soon. Caleb and I did an interview on it, and we go into a little bit more detail on the production side. We have like a little bit of a back and forth on how we produced the album, how mostly he produced the album. Yes. So be on the lookout for that soon. We'll have that concept or that podcast out soon. Anyway, so these were the early like demos for Pensive. Let's get into Fresh Start a little bit and hear these early demos, which from my memory are gonna sound really raw and gritty because I didn't have really good amps and whatever.
Yeah.
But this is all me still playing.
Oh, it is raw.
Yeah, it's out of tune and everything. But it's just a demo. It's just. Guitar.
It sounds so different.
Yep. That guitar is in my closet actually now, but I still have it. It's a small acoustic guitar. And I remember that was one of the first things I bought when I moved to New York was this guitar. It's like a Martin & Co guitar.
I remember you telling me about that.
It was one of the first things I bought when I moved there and recorded this on it. So I have a lot of like emotion just hearing this because I remember exactly like I can picture my view out my window as like I hear this. I'm like kind of inside of all of this. This bass I was really proud of. This is me playing still.
Hey, that's good.
And so like the bass, like I sorry, I'm going to read Mandy's message really quick. It's an album about a man who accidentally kills his wife and he doesn't remember doing it. And the rest of the album is him retracing his steps while being in an asylum. The ending is a spoiler, so I won't say, but it's cyclical too. Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
That's what she said this reminds her of.
Yeah, this album, Trainwreck by Boys Night Out. I'll have to check it out.
Okay.
Anyway, the bass in particular in the whole album is telling is the underpinning of the whole story. So like the bass in this may be like a little bit cerebral, but this is how I wrote like my classical music is like different voices and different like instruments were telling different parts of the story. And I always like having a wise instrument in there. Like there's an instrument that is like wise to what's happening, like is like omnipotent, I guess, a little bit.
Yes.
The bass is that in this album.
Foreshadower.
The bass has a lot of like foreshadowing. The bass is playing melodies throughout the album that are from other songs and from other like things.
Yeah.
And nothing else. Like it's just the bass pretty much just doing those things. And then, hopefully as you listen to this now, those of you who are like listening onto this, will understand that you should listen to the bass. Just listen for the bass because it's telling like different stories and bouncing around and doing stuff throughout the album. Anyway. it's very raw. I don't want to do too much more of this, but so I wrote. I think I put down this whole thing before I did any lyrics because I wasn't sure what the lyrics were gonna be for this yet. Like I think I demoed this in New York, and it wasn't until I was back in Georgia while we were producing the album that I actually came back and wrote lyrics for it. So the lyrics were one of the last things that I did on the whole project. So just some ideas there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So back to me and guest. Don't save. Okay, so that is Pensive Fresh Start, early demos, early concepts. Let's keep rolling.
Love it.
Let's listen to this, the rest of this manifesto, I guess. This I got to find a better word for it.
Yeah.
This concept, the
Like
original
a
concept.
A forward.
Yeah, seriously gone. I got to keep finding it. Okay. After only a few weeks, the singer believes another relationship will save him from his crippling loneliness. Not sure that he's sure that the reason things fell apart before was his lack of confidence. So he's forging ahead and feigning confidence and pretending he is stable and secure. The singer becomes smitten with another girl who seems interested in him, but the more time they spend together, the more insecure and guilty he begins to feel about it. Which I think was supposed to be what's the next song on the album? It's "Blame It on the Miles."
Yeah. Right.
So I guess like I'm not sure if that concept actually like fully panned out, based on what I'm reading here. But "Blame It on the Miles." Let's see. "Blame It on the Miles" was one of the first songs that I wrote after coming back from New York to Georgia in the middle of the pandemic, like very early on. And I don't know. I just wanted something like really like truly classically punk rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted that kind of song and style on the album. And I think actually in the original concept, "Blame It on the Miles" is not the next song. Actually, Caleb and I worked on another song on the album that has not been released called "Doubt It," which may or may not be released another day in the future. But I think "Doubt It" was next on the album. And then
So-
"Blame It on the Miles" came in next.
Okay.
So there is a missing song on the album, but I think that I think ultimately I decided it worked better without it. Like it just, the mood of it was a very like disco dance, like punk rock track, you know, like
Interesting.
it was like a punk meets disco dance track, which I just didn't think that it felt like it I don't know, it felt too disingenuous in the concept of the album to have that in there, so I decided to take it out. But "Blame It on the Miles" is actually I think that I wrote the lyrics and came up with the actual like title after the breakup happened, because there is a song called "Miles and States" by oh my goodness, I can't. Their name is escaping me. I know the song in my head. "Miles in the States," and then "Abandoning Sunday." "Miles and States" by "Abandoning Sunday," and it was like my ex's like favorite song. It was like one of her favorite songs, and so it soured, right? Like after the because I was writing this album like in the midst of the breakup happening, and so that idea of like "Miles and States." You know, because the song, if you know the song by "Remembering Sunday," it's like "Miles and States won't keep us away forever" or whatever. And so in "Blame It on the Miles," the line is, "We can blame it on Miles instead of on my state of mind." So I kind of used those to like twist it around.
I like that.
And so that's kind of where that concept actually came from. But in terms of the actual like narrative of the story, this is him. Like I don't know, this is him like trying to feign confidence, sort of like what the original concept was saying. It's him trying to like be like, I'm confident, I'm moving on, I'm like, I don't give a shit about anything, I don't care, basically. So I wanted it to be like a
Yeah.
truly classic punk rock thing. But as we'll hear in the demo in a second, here I'm pulling up the
This
original
guy's
demo.
a little toxic.
He is. That's that's exactly right. You're not supposed to root for this guy. Oh my goodness. I gotta fix some stuff
I
here.
feel bad for the girlfriend.
Yeah, we don't. And here's the thing, and I wanted to be very clear on this as I was writing the concept out. That I don't say a lot about the girl in this story because it's not about her. He wants
Right.
to make it about her. He wants to make it about like anything else but himself. But it's not about her. Like what happened to her was tragic, but like he's trying to make it about him, and it's not. That's
Mhm.
not it. So I wanted to make sure I really clearly delineated, like, this is not the kind of behavior that you should go through. However, this is unfortunately the kind of behavior that guys do go through
That's true.
when things like, you don't need, it doesn't need to be like a suicide or anything, but like when breakups happen, like it's all about like they go through this kind of mentality, and like guys and
Yeah.
girls too. Like it's not just like a guys only thing, but I really wanted to make that clear distinction between those
Mhm.
two ideas. Like it's not a story about him, what happened to him after this thing happened, after the breakup and whatever. It's a story about what is going on in his mind as these things are happening, and the end of it will ultimately kind of like
Again,
spell-
cautionary tale.
exactly, it's a cautionary tale. So okay, I'm pulling up the demo here. Where am I with guest? Okay, so here is the original demo for Blame It on the Miles. Again, this is the like written out like compositional version of it. So let's just do it. Let's just get into it.
Let's do it.
It's loading. It's loading. It's loading. It's loading so very slowly. Haha.
What?
So first of all, immediately, this song from the original, at least to me, doesn't sound quite like this, but I ultimately think it's better. This one had a little bit more of a like a zhuzhy, like dancey like thing going on.
It did.
And I think that we leaned smartly. Caleb and I leaned smartly more into the punky, like
Yeah.
grungy style of it. But anyway, I digress. Back into it. Also, stop. Sorry, I keep stopping it.
I'm gonna kill you.
Mandy, I don't know if you're still listening, but this opening was directly inspired by the opening of the Hi Hi Puffy Amiyumi show. This old Cartoon Network show based on Puffy Amiyumi, which is a Japanese rock band who I loved and still do. And I was trying to like dig into those Japanese rock roots, but the opening of this was a direct rip and quote from that song. So there you go. Anyway, so there's and Mandy said, "Oh yeah, I can hear it because it's a very direct quote from that song."
Oh.
But yeah, so it's got a little bit more of a dancey kind of like
Yeah, I
like
could
vibe
dance to
to
this.
it. but I think that we leaned more into the, because like it's him like being confident, but like he's very clearly straining himself, right? Like that's what we wanted to get to with the actual song.
Right.
Like he's straining himself to like, so that's why it's a little bit more grungy and punky in the original or in the final version of it.
Sorry, that was Nani.
Oh, of course, Nani the cat.
She knocked a water cup over.
Anyway, and then you get into this like psycho breakdown. Sorry, it's too loud. We get into this psycho breakdown section, which I wanted to like. I'm ripping off a microwave song. And Death is a Warm Blanket had just come out,
I love Microwave.
and that's I do too. Thanks, Bip, for showing me Microwave. Death is a Warm Blanket had just come out, so I like ripped it like basically directly from this. And Vlada, who did the guitar solos for this, like that's what I sent him. I sent him Death is a Warm Blanket, and I was like, play solos. And he did, and it sounds like psychotic and crazy, like there's a breakdown. So like in the middle of this like confident, like I'm like doing well and things are going good, I wanted to have this very clear like sync like moment where it's like a completely broken down like train off the rails
Just
kind of
absolute
deal.
psychosis.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
anyway, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So there you go. That bass line though. Yeah, right? The bass line like I said, the bass is the wise one in this.
Tell us the story.
It's telling the story, but like it knows. Like I always like approach the bass in this album like it's above the madness that is going on, right? Like
Yeah.
it's playing along with it, like it's helping the story along, but like like in this song he's very like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean?
Grounded.
He's very grounded.
Yeah.
But so that's the that demo. Let me actually pull up the original like Logic file here. But yeah, so it took on a whole kind of like new life here in the demo. So I think we'll see. The original demo here might be still dancey. I can't remember, but we'll kind of see. But there's a clear moment in the breakdown that I want to talk about, so we'll get to that in a second. Oh God, it's so loud. Turn it down, please. This is all me playing bass and guitar.
Look at you.
Not well. Not well. Anyway, so yeah, no, it definitely became more punky and like punchy in the demo, even when I was recording it. But
Right.
the moment that I want to get to is the breakdown. Here we are. I think we're here at the breakdown. So this is obviously before the guitar
Okay, yeah,
solos got in.
Let's address the mental breakdown right there.
Yeah. So these two voicemails here are so there's I had to draw from a lot of like personal inspiration to like put into this. So different X from a long time ago. We're actually cool now. You know, those of you who know my personal story may know who I'm talking about. But we're cool now.
Okay.
But what are you saying there? Yeah, Mandy wants to know. So this is a text message that was sent to me by my ex when we broke up. Like a different ex, not the most recent one, like many years ago, like a decade ago at this point.
Mhm.
She sent to me very rightfully angry at me. And so like there's where I'm, you know, at the end of this whole thing where I'm like, effing stop, you know, it's like, it's those voices coming back in his head. Right. And I was sort of like putting myself in that environment. So I have these pan left and right to be like these voices that are coming back. Like he's confident, you know, blame it on Miles, right? He's like happy and like confident, but then these voices are coming back. And so this is the first moment in the album where I want it to be like, clearly something's not right here. Something is
Right.
going on with what he's singing about. So the voicemails are like old. It's a text that my ex sent me. Basically, I picked two different parts of the text and I said it to myself back and forth, and you can hear me shouting here. Yeah. So
nice.
Anyway. Yeah. And so that builds into this like nice breakdown. It's like a clear moment of he's like stop. Like and this is like
Yeah.
I wanted to like, you know, really get into the headspace of this person who is running. And that's kind of the conceit of Blame It on the Miles, right? Like he is running from his problems. He is not trying to face them. He would rather move on and just like move to the next thing and
Mhm.
forget about it all. But something this powerful, like, and this is why, like, you know, I in the story, like the girl commits suicide, and this is like the catalyst for this, because it'd be one thing if it was just a breakup and that person was still alive and whatever, but he's now contending. You know, I'm using these voicemails from like my real actual life, but like he's contending with like these words, and he cannot do anything about it. She is
Right.
gone. She is
Right.
she is gone. There's nothing that he can do to like, so like any kind of closure or any kind of like whatever, which again is not important. The closure is not the important part, but any kind of that kind of stuff. He is like, her voice is coming back. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's what I wanted to capture in this moment. This is one of the most important kind of moments for the album, because it shows for the first time like he is struggling. And he's clearly trying to run, and by the end of the album, he can't run any longer, right? Like it catches up to him finally. So that's kind of what I wanted to get into there. Vlada did a great job with the actual final guitar solos. Obviously, these are the demos, so I don't have them in here, but just amazing job on all of that. And yeah, any other questions about Blame It on the Miles? I think this one's pretty
No.
straightforward. I think this one's
Yeah.
not that complicated. Where are we? Just nope, not me and guess is what I want. There we go. Okay, so chugging right along here. Let me not save that. What's next? What's next on the album? Not ready,
Next on
right?
the album is not ready.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the original concept that I wrote. After hooking up a few times, the singer's insecurities begin creeping in. Not Ready houses a triple entendre. I don't make it hard to know that I'm not ready to go. And I wanted to like really circle in on this, like not being ready to go kind of idea. The first literal meaning is a plea to this new girl, telling her that he's not ready to be alone again. The second meaning is the irony that the singer was never really ready to be in a new relationship to begin with. So he's not ready in that regard. And the
Right.
third meaning foreshadows the singer having to one day face his fear of death, but meeting it with the same plea he makes to this girl, a juxtaposition between being alone and death that are not one and the same to him. So he's like, it's like the final like plea, like I'm not ready to go, like
Right.
as in like the ultimate final go,
Right.
So it's a triple entendre there. Like he's telling this girl, like I'm not ready to go yet, like I'm fine, because he just had this breakdown in Blame It on the Miles, and he's like I'm not ready, like I'm not ready for you to leave me yet. And
Right.
and again, he was never ready to be in this to begin with, so
Right.
that's the second irony of it. And then this like
Okay.
and then this ultimate like he's not ready to like go, which is like part of that is like my voice. So one of my biggest fears is death, is the end of everything. It's like my biggest fear in the whole world. And so writing a concept or an album dedicated to that concept just felt natural for me. It was a way for me to like kind of cope with it. And like try to come and put out my thoughts on death and that like ultimate like foreverness, which we'll get into in a little bit. But the album starts to kind of like go off the rails after Not Ready.
Mm-hmm.
Not Ready is kind of the final like things are like stable,
Yeah.
somewhat stable moment before things start coming back, which we'll get into.
And it's all coming back.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
So, and then the final part here is sinking deeper in thought, the singer briefly laments holding on to something he perceives as fleeting. Quickly, his mind turns from a deep thought into action, associating his incessant introspection with the reason things ended. So that's kind of the idea and concept, the original concept there. But Not Ready, like, I wanted it to be deceptively happy, right? Like, it's
Yeah, it
like,
is.
Blame It on the Miles is like, like punchy and grungy and whatever, but he is putting on a face for this other girl, this other person, so that he's like, I'm like fine, look at me, I'm okay, things are great.
I'm chill.
There's all, well, it's not even chill, like
good.
he's happy, right? Because that's what he's ultimately trying to like convey, because he's just trying to convey that. So like that, it's like emulated in these like synth lines that you'll hear, where it's like very like happy, shimmery, shiny,
It
like
is.
whatever going on. But then there's like a breakdown in the middle of it. I don't want to be lost. I only fear the unknown. It's like a moment of clarity for him, and he pushes that away into the final chorus. So let's pull that up here, man. Let's pull that up here. Bro, dude, man, my guy.
Brosip.
Okay, so this was the original concept. And honestly, I had been listening to a lot of Front Bottoms. So
good.
this opening line, I think, is ripped completely from a Front Bottoms song. It's ripped from Skeleton, I think. This bump 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 is ripped from Skeleton. And so I ripped it and put it in here. Let's hear it.
Nice.
Original demo, idea, concept, thing. Bro.
Bruh. Ridiculous.
Oh God. So anyway, like
Bum, bum, bum,
very
bum,
happy, and
bum.
it's really the synth line. It's the synth line that makes this like the shimmery, false happy thing. I'm gonna single out the
Yeah.
synth line. Where are you?
Ooh. I feel like I'm in a video game.
I love the song. It was fun recording clips for it, says Mandy. So like yeah, it's like I wanted it to be this like bubblegummy like things are fine underneath this you know rock like happy go lucky fun rock tune.
Yeah.
And I think I like it's just so catchy. I like that, and that's that's ultimately
is
what I was
catchy.
trying to do. Like get that hook in.
Now, lyric wise, were
Yeah.
you inspired by just the concept or something going on at the time?
Yes, like there's definitely like concepts and ideas that were like going on at the time. This was right before my previous breakup. This is one of the songs I was writing right before it. I was still in Georgia before going back down to see my ex again.
Mhm.
And I think that there was a lot of like writing on the walls, you know, vibes going on. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
I
do.
like there's a lot of like it's hard for me to like talk about it a little bit because like there's definitely a lot of denial for me like when I was writing this song. Like it was a real plea from me, you know, like I'm not ready to go.
I think you and this character relate a little bit in that way.
Well, yeah, like
Yeah, there
and
was a lot
it's
of denial
it,
going
like I
on.
said, life imitating art because I wrote the
Yes.
concept 2 years before that happened.
Yeah.
And then as I was recording it, as I was actually writing the music, this stuff started to like come forward. And you know, there's no getting away from like personal things slipping in as an artist writing music. Like there's no getting away from that. So
Well,
there's probably a lot of other just like with you know, Where the Heart Is, like that
Yes.
album is very like more personal, like obviously very directly
I
personal.
think Where the Heart is very personal.
But just like with Gone, Where the Heart Is has a lot of layers to it. Like there's the literal interpretation, there's like the message I'm trying to say, and then there was honestly probably a culmination of lots of other things coalescing down into like one thing. Like Hallelujah was like in
Yes.
particular was like, you know, it was written about a particular thing, but there's
Yes.
a lot of like other
But
similar
Hallelujah, I can't talk. That was written in one sitting after one incident.
That's true, but I had a lot of like, yes, the one incident was what Hallelujah is written about, but again, I had a lifetime of experiences like that I was like pouring into it, and I think that
Right.
Not Ready is similar, right? Like yes, there was an instigating moment for it, but I think I was pouring in years of the similar stuff into this, so I guess that's kind of the best way I can describe it. Like, there's not
Right.
like there's definitely like an instigating thing, but like it was a lot of past trauma being poured into it, a lot of past like pleading and past like, you know, whatever being poured
Pink.
into it. So, yeah, you know, cringe or whatever.
No, not at all. It's tea for me.
Anyway. And then we get into this. So the second part, the B section, is straight ripped from Motion City Soundtrack. I cannot remember which song I ripped it from.
When you say
exactly.
ripped, are you like
Yeah.
inspired by it?
No, I'm stealing a lot.
Oh, okay.
and you know, imitation is the best form of flattery. 1, and 2, those great, like good composers, good songwriters, you know, are inspired by great songwriters. Steal. and it's just true. It's just the truth. This is like obviously like I've made it my own thing. Like it's not like I've
Right.
completely just like taken their song and put it into my song. But you good there? Okay. I'm saying like I ripped it. Like obviously it's my own song, but like when I was like writing it, I was like I'm listening to this song, and so this has very clearly directly influenced what this sounds like. But this is ripped from a
Gotcha.
Motion City soundtrack like vibe, and honestly, and even the lyrics in this moment are straight ripped from All American Rejects, right? Dirty Little
Yes,
Secrets.
I heard the nod
Uh,
to American Rejects.
Straight ripped. Well, and like so this song is the closest to me than it is to the protagonist of the story, because again, this is the origin of Mostly Strangers, and I didn't know what I was like doing. Lawsuit, here we come, said Mandy. So, but like I was like, I wanted this to be like a really poppy, like catchy tune. So I was listening to a lot of poppy, catchy tunes like that I listened to that I liked to try to like get the best stuff from all of that and put it into this.
Mhm.
Like I was using what I knew to make a catchy poppy song, and so there's a lot of like a lot of just like stolen stuff just in here, straight up. Um,
Don't admit it.
Look, it's and the reason I'm okay admitting it is because I've turned it into my own thing, right? Like ultimately, at the end of the day, Not Ready is its own song, and you couldn't like you wouldn't
Right.
listen to this and think, oh, that's whatever. But like now that I'm telling you, you're like, oh yeah, I can kind of hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's all songs, all music is like that. Like
That's true.
everybody is, and this is another Justin Courtney Peer of Motion City Soundtrack saying, all artists are worse versions of their favorite artists, and I
Yeah.
think it's so true. Every artist is just a worst version of who they were trying to be, and I think that that's clear. Like I'm a worse version of Say Anything and Motion City Soundtrack and all these bands that I'm trying to be, but it becomes its own thing, right? Like that
Right.
becomes its own kind of like idea. Anyway, but the breakdown here is ripped from that. It's so interesting hearing the solos that I wrote and what the actual professionals came out with.
Right.
I'm not a guitar player by trade, but it's interesting. Kyle, who did the solo for this in the final thing, killed it on this. Like absolutely killed this solo. And now you can hear like what I gave to him versus what he came back with
Like,
is so
oof.
much better. So this is that one moment of clarity, right? Like this is the moment of where he's like, "Oh God, this is the real reason I'm saying all of this stuff, but I can't actually say that to you because
Right.
that's not attractive or whatever." And then it does that twice until the end. So there you go. That's the original concept of Not Ready.
It's very catchy.
It is very catchy. Okay, so quickly, let's get into the demo here. We got to chug along. we're
Yeah,
getting
I'm
long
getting sleepy.
getting long of the tooth here. Where is not ready? Here we go.
Did we just do not ready?
I'm gonna show the
Oh,
the like
yeah.
demo thing here.
The demo thing.
The demo thing. We're gonna chug along because the last couple are really like they elision really nicely into each other. So hopefully we won't take too long on any of that. But anyway, here's the original concept. Again, this one wasn't recorded in New York. I think this is the first one so far. No, Blame It on the Miles was also recorded in Georgia too. But this is all me still playing. Something's not right here.
Yeah.
I think these are like in the wrong key. Nope. It's just so bad.
Oh my god.
It's just so bad. My And by the way, all of the Moog synth stuff, straight up, this is stolen straight from Motion City soundtrack. It's like the thing they're known for is the Moog. Is that like Moog synth thing? So I owe all of that to them. Anyway, nothing too exciting with Not Ready. The original demos. It was very like. This is me playing the solo, so you get to hear what it sounds like when I play the solo, which is not good. Anyway, so nothing too exciting with that one. It's just like a catchy, cool tune. Cool. Let's get into where the album takes a turn.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh is right.
It's all coming back.
Something is happening here. Something happened with my scene.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh is right. Here, let's put all that back. Okay, there we go. It's all coming back. So you said, what did you say that this is your favorite?
Did I?
I don't know. I can't remember.
It's one of mine.
Oh.
I love it.
Why?
I don't know. I just do. It got me in my feelings the first time I heard it.
So super quick, original concept. In a low state of mind and yet a moment of peace, the singer's past transgressions and regrets float back to the surface. So I don't think I mentioned this, but like the concept for how the girl committed suicide is she drove her car into the ocean. That was like my thing. She drove it off a bridge
what a
into the
foreshadowing, because in the first voicemail he talks about being in the ocean.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it worked out really well. Again, that was also unplanned, but like that's how I conceived it. So there's a lot of like ocean connections. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of connections to like ocean stuff. Anyway, so floating to the top is not an accident. So try not to react while it's all coming back. Very straightforward. More clear than anything else are memories of his previous girlfriend and the stark, sobering realization he misses her. Ooh. Oof. Oof. He was trying to run so hard and so fast, but like he can't. And that's like the worst thing, right? Like she is in this world, she is like gone. You know, she is not coming back. And he misses her. What can you do about that, right? Like, and this begins the chipping away at him. This begins the process of him like being being torn away. And so, yeah, there's a lot of like original concepts here. I'm actually playing on the album, this acoustic guitar intro, and I played the demo and everything. This is one of the first songs that I like composed on the guitar. So I didn't actually start writing in here. I wrote it on the guitar first and then transcribed it here so that I could write the song. I was trying to emulate Max Bemis's Black Days from the album In Defense of the Genre. That song is so good, and I wanted to write a song like that, and I don't think I did it as good as him. But that's kind of what I was going for in terms of like writing this guitar melody down. I think it ends up sounding more like My Chemical Romance than it does Say Anything, but I digress.
Still pretty.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I just realized I'm not sharing my screen with people. Let me check. There we go. Okay, here you go. Here it is. So this moment's important, right? Like this, lyrically, this moment is incredibly important. I'll never change. You'll never see. You deserve a man who's not like, and he cannot bring himself to say it. And that's why that people are like, why did that happen? Why is that thing there? It's like this gut punch to him. Like he cannot say a man who's not like me. He refuses to say that. Like even in this moment of clarity. So
that came, for me at least, that came across very clearly.
Yeah, I was trying to make that very clear. Like it's very bare. Like there's not much I can do to hide stuff like that. But anyway. By the way, the synth line was added later. Caleb and I came back to this, and I decided that I wanted something more. So the synth line wasn't originally here. That came later. Anyway, and then it gets like really raunchy and crazy at the end. But
I legitimately, first time I heard that song, cried.
Yeah, well, it's meant to do that. It was meant to be the tearjerker of the song, because it's honest, it's bare. Like it's like this moment of like he understands for a brief moment what is happening what he did, what he feels, which is what makes Fall, which comes after this, so, because he's like rending himself from those thoughts. He's like, I am not this. I
It's
don't.
like the one time in the entire album that he has any form of like being grounded at
Yeah.
all.
Exactly.
Like sitting in his grief at all.
Don't mind me just lurking right now. I can't see who that is. I don't know if that's branded or not. But thanks for lurking. Yeah, no, it's we'll get to Fall in just a second. But like this, like I wanted this to be a very clear, stark contrast, right?
Mhm.
Of this these feelings weighing him down, and him, as usual, as we know, as we expect from him, running from it. Completely like, I'm not going to face this. I'm going to run. Predictably, he does that. And it's like him, because he says, I'll never change. And it's true. Like we believe him in this opening because he's being the most honest with us this whole album in this opening part.
Mhm.
So when it comes to this like wall of sound, which is basically, I told Caleb when we did this, I want it to hurt like your ears. So
Yeah.
it's like a big wall of sound here, and that hopefully came through. But this like synth line and everything, I put in these like really scritchy, scratchy synth lines here. Let me see if I can play one of these.
Spooky.
Yeah. So anyway, it's probably gonna be loud. Just prepare yourself.
It's like this tension that he's fighting.
Yeah.
Even in this dissonance.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that it's meant to be conveyed that way, right? So, so yeah, it's very like, I don't know.
He's fighting against himself.
Yeah.
'Cause he won't change.
Yeah. No, he won't. And so that's what makes, and I want to actually get into Fall first before I go to the demos for it. And like I knew I wanted a clear, like, he is refusing to confront this. This is so what's funny about this is Fall, I actually wrote this song before Gone. I started writing this song like a while back, a couple of years before, like maybe like a year before actually Gone happened.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't written the lyrics, but I had written these melodies down already. And I just knew immediately when I got to this moment of the album that that this would work out well. So it's just a fun fact there for you. Fall was written separate from Gone, and then I added it in with the lyrics and tied it together that way. Concept for this: violently rending himself from the memories of her, Fall bursts forward as a defiant anthem against a return to the way things were. The singer accepts that people are jaded and fake and welcomes their behavior as fuel for his negative tirade. Shut me down with your words, I can see right through. Prop me up with your touch. Naively, he continues to run from his past while still chained to it. The singer is impatient and still ultimately afraid of being alone, really just without a relationship, and uses the song to hype himself up as he charges ahead to pursue other relationships. So, like, this is his, like, for me, this is the true madness. This song is the madness of it.
No, he's like he's losing it.
I Want to Know has a little bit of that like frenetic, like manic energy too, but like this is him like
he is officially, I mean literally, like he's
sorry.
He's fallen into madness.
Yeah. And that's why like the opening sounds this way, right? Like it sounds like these like discordant chords and everything that lead you into it. I wanted it to be I wanted it to be like this very like jarring like thing. So let me turn the mix down on this and then let's listen to it. Turn that down a little bit. Okay, there we go. So yeah, lyrically, it's very like defiant, right? Like he's like talking to her ghost, right? Like
Right.
like you're gone and I won't follow. You're dead. Don't haunt these halls. He's like saying stop, like to her ghost, like leave me alone. I want to be in peace with my life and whatever. And then like ultimately asking this question, and when you don't wake tomorrow, will I fall?
You're already
and-
doing that, my friend.
He is. And then realizing that, like this last moment, will I fall for you? He's like, hell no. I'm not going to be the monkey on your back. And he's trying to do, and this is what like you do when you're like leaving a relationship or like when you lose something, right? You're like, you're angry, right? Like it's one of the stages of grief, right? So he's like anything to make himself feel better by tearing down this other person.
Even with the fact that she's actually gone.
Cut you out with these blades, let the spirit flow, let me in, don't let go. I can hear you screaming out. And then this is when Allison comes in as the singing voice of this girl, this ghostly apparition.
Yes.
Because this is what she said to him. Forget about me, darling. Tonight I chose the sea. Because remember, in my concept, in my world, she drives her car off of a bridge into the ocean. So she's literally choosing that instead of, whatever.
Right.
But if I don't wake tomorrow, would you fall? It's your call, after all. No, I'm not stumbling after, right? So like it's very like clear with its intentions here, but like just like with any other song, like I wanted this to be able to like stand alone, even outside of the concept of the album. So like the way that I always describe fall is it's like any kind of like you're seeing somebody else, because like he's bargaining with her. He's like, I'm not going to follow after you. What you did was wrong and selfish and whatever, like whatever. That's the way he's like bargaining with himself. And I'm not going to follow after you. I'm going to move on and get better and beat this and fight this. So like there's this anthem here where when you're listening to it in isolation, it's sort of hopeful, right? Like he's like, I'm not going to fall after this. I'm going to pick myself up and move forward. And he's doing it like in an angry way, but like that's his fuel to like propel himself forward.
Again, very much denial.
Yes. And ultimately, as we know, for the end of the album, he does fall. he does do it. And anyway, it's so this is like a very straightforward kind of thing.
Keep
that we
on
got here.
going.
Yeah.
I will be back in a second.
Okay. Cool. There goes Molly. Okay, so let me just quickly go over the like actual demos, and then we will move right along here. I want to say thank you guys so much for sticking with it, for staying along and watching. I appreciate you. This is good. This is a good like fun thing. There's going to be an announcement at the end of this whole stream, by the way. You don't have to stay on the stream just to watch it. I'm letting you know now in case you're like watching. So that, if you have to hop off, because I know it's getting late for people on a Monday night. If you got to hop off and listen to the announcement at the end, just know that you can like skip to the end of this VOD. And it's not like a big crazy announcement, but like, stuff that you should know as we as the next stages of all this kind of come forward. Cool. I'm just putting that all back up here. Great. So it's all coming back and fall. Original demos here. Nothing too crazy. Let's get into fall because I think the It's All Coming Back demos are not that great. I don't know. Let's hear it. Let's see. Anyway, yeah, that's me playing in my bedroom in Georgia. But it grows to this fever pitch, and eventually Anyway, pretty like I said, pretty standard, pretty straightforward song. This is like probably my favorite song on the album. It's just it just like really gets into that I don't know. It's like a kick-ass song for me. So like separating it from the like concept of it all, I don't know. It's good. I like it. Okay, let's get back into just me. There we go. Let's get back into the next song. So, Forever. Throughout the entire album, there are these little quotes from Forever, which is like ultimately the kind of main crux of the whole album. Hey, Allison, she's back with a bowl full of salmon, just chewed up, regurgitated, and spat back out salmon or something. What is that? It's lentil pasta, folks. Lentil pasta. Anyway, Forever has a lot of like these little interstitials throughout the whole album, because that's kind of the ultimate conceit, right? Like that this foreverness, this like ultimate like final foreverness of death. There's a lot of like little forevers inside just the one large forever, obviously. But like this is the one in question that he's kind of contending with. The song Forever is about that, sort of about death. And it's a very personal one for me, because like I mentioned earlier in the stream, that's my ultimate fear, is death. And the unfortunate inevitability of that. Like it's just going to happen to everyone. So I wanted to dedicate a song to that. Kind of a bargain, I guess. To kind of talk about like death and like my fear of it, and that foreverness. And so like in concept of the album, actually, let me see if I have the actual concept here. I forgot I had that. Forever. There you are. She's back. Whoops, wrong one. This is the one I wanted to do. There we go. Hey, Molly.
Hello, I'm back.
Okay,
Sorry.
cool. I was just talking about Forever.
Ooh.
Yeah, and this is actually the first one I ever sent over to you, Molly.
Yes, it is.
And I think that you cried when you heard it. I remember
I did.
I was on the couch with you, and I showed you this demo. And yeah.
I had a little bit of a meltdown.
Well,
when I
because
heard
it's
it.
like I was just saying, it's a real honest like thing for me, like
Yeah.
this fear of foreverness and this sort of like coming to terms with it, right? Anyway, the concept here, Forever stands as the crux of the whole album. Because the girl from the past relationship abandoned him, he equated the end of all subsequent relationships and as those people abandoning him as well. When in reality, his fear of abandonment caused him to push others away. He laments, forever seems like something I could never do. Like saying like he doesn't believe that he can do forever because all these people keep leaving him, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, the singer has taken this to the other extreme. He is convinced that the only way to dispel his ultimate fear is to face it head on by letting go of everything. This is his moment where he instead of learning from this lesson of foreverness, of learning that like, you know, instead of learning the more important thing that life goes on, he's like, the foreverness is the thing that I'm going to focus in on. And so it's I don't know, it's the
Which
crux
you
of the
can
whole
see,
thing.
especially at the end of Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fall still. I was going to say this doesn't look like forever. One thing I want to say about Forever, there's a couple of demos here. So I started writing the first notes of Forever in the airport after checking up on my apartment, because this was in the middle of COVID times. I was sitting at the airport at Newark on my way back to my now ex's place, the weekend before we would break up. This is basically the timeline of this.
Yes.
So I started writing the first notes here, and this first forever line, like the forever, that in that airport the weekend before all this happened. So, and I, because of COVID, I was stuck there for that weekend, even after we had broken up. And I just remember sitting and basically writing this whole song. Like I wrote this whole song in like a day and a half, something like that. So that I wouldn't have to so that we wouldn't have to interact, right? Like I was basically like sitting and writing this song. So there's a lot of that I'm sure snuck its way in
Oh, for sure.
to it. But I remember exactly where I was. I was sitting on like the second chair to the right on those benches in Newark, writing these first notes down. Had no idea what was coming for me.
Not even a little bit.
No, it took me by surprise. And this isn't a thing about my relationship with my ex, but it did. It took me by surprise. I didn't want it. It's not, what happened is not exactly what I wanted to happen at that moment. It ended up
Right.
being the best thing for everyone involved,
Right.
but it was heartbreaking, like a truly heartbreaking.
Oh, I remember you were crushed. It was crazy. It was a crazy time.
I checked up too. Forever and Bleach are emotional. As someone who struggled with suicide, it's very familiar. Forever seemed like a constant, inevitable suffering, and therefore letting go was the only cure, quote unquote. I guess because getting into new things and hoping it will last is just too painful to commit again. That's what I got from it. Yeah, that's basically the idea, right? Like that's sort of the concept. And Mandy,
Yeah. Who said that?
my sister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one of our curses, Mandy. So we can talk more offline about some of that. But it's sort of one of the curses we share. Anyway, so this was my homage to it. This is my sort of plea and my bargain with death, with this foreverness. So anyway, I still get a little bit choked up hearing. Not choky, choked up when I hear these first notes, because I remember exactly, I know exactly where I was when I was writing this. Oh, and I've got a fun one in here for you as well, because there was actually Forever originally sounded way different. Actually, I want to pull that up first. Yeah, this is the original Forever concept, which you're going to be like, what? It sounded like this? Before it ultimately changed. And who knows?
So curious.
Yeah, it's very different. So here we go. Yeah, right?
Oh.
Needless to say, I think I
It's a
made
lot
the
less manic.
yeah. Needless to say, I think I made the right choice
Yeah.
in changing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I kind of came to, because so this is what I had written in the airport, all of this stuff, and then the breakup happened, and then I changed it to
Fuel for the flame.
to something else. I was like, this is too sappy, and I need it to be more weighty. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Not trying to get dark in here. I was saying that the two songs at the end were very good at invoking what you might have been going for. Yeah, no, you're fine, Mandy. It's just, this is life, man. Like
No.
it's, you don't. Darkness is what the album is about.
She got what she's supposed to out of it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. You know what I just realized? I was doing it again. I was not sharing my screen. So I guess you'll never get to see what the original
Oh well,
concept
I got
was.
exclusive content.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so this is what it changed to after that happened. So
Okay.
we'll see how much I can get through
You gonna cry?
after it loads. No, probably not. But like it's just like it's less of a like crying emotion and more of a like it's just heavy, you know what I mean? Like it's just like a little bit heavy for me. Because I just kind of vividly remember where I was when all this stuff happened. But anyway. Anyway, I'll get into the chorus because I don't want to skip out on that. But yeah, it's and I like it has two full verses that come in. Like it's a verse and a half, I think, before the first chorus comes in.
Yeah.
Because again, it's leaning into that foreverness, right? Like it's going on forever until like the ultimate drop happens. So
It's almost mechanical.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It is, and you're right. It is like it's cold. Like it's meant to be like very cold and rigid, because that's what foreverness is. That's what death kind of is, you know. So, anyway. It's incredible how much survived, right? Like Forever is very unchanged from this demo. I mean, like it changed from the original, obviously, but like from this to the final song, pretty much all is there. It's pretty much all intact.
Yeah.
And then you get into the solo. Man, the bass for this is my favorite part about all of this. The bass and the drums are telling such a like interesting, different story than what the guitars and the vocals are saying. I just kind of wanted to single this out for a second.
Yeah.
What do I want? I want
Bass and
the
the drums.
bass, and I want drums. Maybe rhythm guitar? No, let's leave that out for now. It's just telling such a different story. And even back in the chorus, it's just I don't know. There's something about that I like really
Yeah.
like. To me, that's the most important part. Again, the bass is like the wise thing in all of this. So anyway, that's Forever. That's that demo. The actual like Logic demo is again very unchanged, so I don't actually even think I need to show it because it's very similar. It's very like the same to
very
this.
Similar.
And we're also getting short on time, so I want to kind of push through to I Want to Know and Bleach, and then we'll be done. So
And I'll cry.
yeah. In one last moment of clarity. Oh, here, hold on. Let's get back to. I got to remember to switch back and forth between these. In one last moment of clarity, the singer desires to know what other quote unquote normal people go through and what they experience. I want to know how it feels. He sees those experiences as foreign and is unable to relate, using it as more fuel to forge ahead with what he is resigned to do. Or what he's resigned to. So the big thing with I Want to Know is from the start, I knew that I wanted to create a deceptive ending to the album. I wanted it to feel so strongly like I Want to Know could be the end of this album, that like he has learned to like move on and like he is happy finally and has learned this lesson of foreverness, and he's learned to like live with it and cope. And so the lyrics are very like meant to be deceptive. It's a very double entendre. But and again, here's the big spoiler. In the next song, he kills himself. And he's not saying that he wants to know, like I want to know how it feels. He's talking about his ex, not about like other people. He's talking about wanting to know what that feels like. That is his like old, and that's why this song is so so deceptive, because it's like the happiest, most manic song. Well, like it's happy and like crazy and like upbeat, but some might also say it's manic and
it is a little manic.
And you know, crazy, and so like that's what he's like singing about in this, right? Like he's like he wants to know what that ultimately feels like and felt like, because that's what he feels like is the only way for him to like truly move on. The only way for him to like contend with the forever of dealing with this forever, which is what he's kind of come to, is for life to not go on anymore. So coming back to that like original concept. We'll talk about this more when we get into Bleach, but yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with I Want to Know. This was the last song that I wrote. Not the last song that I demoed, but the last song that I wrote for the album was this one. So I already knew very strongly what I was trying to do for the whole album. So this one had a very clear direction. And I think this is the strongest songwriting on the album. Even though it's not my favorite song, I think it's the strongest idea. Let's see if it'll play. Don't look so bored.
Huh?
I'm kidding.
Oh, I'm just waiting.
No, I know. It's loading. There's a lot to load. It's a big track.
Yeah.
Like I think the first time that I sent this to somebody, they were like, "This sounds like an anime," and I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "You know what? That's kind of what I was going for."
Thank you.
It sounds like an anime opening, which is what I was going for.
This slaps, so. It's just so again, there's a lot going on
the bass is telling like a really important story in this because it's like finally culminating in Bleach. You'll hear it in the breakdown in a second, but like this constant like eighth note guitar like thing that's happening is twofold. It's life going on. It's like this continuance of life. It's like this like constant like nature of it, but also it's this like tick 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 that's going on in his mind, right? Like it's this constant like tick 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 because he has snapped, like totally and completely snapped at this moment, as he's kind of like going through it. And so in the chorus, one thing I want to kind of point out here, where are we?
Well, you hear that ticking too in Fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. It's a direct pull from Fall, where it has where in the opening of it is the because it's the other moment where he snapped the first time. He's starting to snap, but this bass line you'll hear it is Bleach. So the bum ba-dum ba-dum bum ba-dum is here in the bass foreshadowing what's happening next. So it's like it's nested inside this like concept where like, you know, the bass knows what's up, but like it's kind of like hidden, nestled inside that melody. That's not what I wanted to do. I was trying to play it back. So it cuts through in that moment. Like if you're not listening for it, you'll miss it, you know. And then it gets to the breakdown. I want to know what life is for. I don't even know why I was fighting before. Right? He's again like you can construe it as like him, like not fighting, getting better, but he's talking about not fighting the other feelings, the other thoughts, right? Like the bad feelings and thoughts. Then the solo happens, which by the way, Cody just absolutely effing killed it on this. Bruh. Like so good.
Blew my mind.
I cannot sing the praises of Cody enough. Like Kyle also did great work. Like everybody did great work, but like Cody just absolutely nailed it. Like did the most. So happy and proud of Cody there. Okay, so and then we get into the breakdown, where again the bass is playing Bleach. And then the other secret in there is during the second part of that, when the forever life goes on, ostinato starts happening. The bass player switches from the end of the album, playing Bleach, to playing the line from Pensive. So those two like elision into each other, and again it was written that way. It was written for those two moments. And it just continues on, and then again the guitar comes in with this constant like life goes on riff, right? Right? And it continues on and on and on. And like even after, because the last words that are sung are life goes on, and that goes on. Like it continues on even after the breakdown happens. This like riff. It like continues on without him. And this is the idea, right? Like this is the album could end here. Oh, by the way, this that last little thing that happens in the album was written into. So like that was original stuff. Anyway, but the idea is that his story will continue, or his story is going to come to an end in Bleach.
Mm-hmm.
But this moment is like life does go on, and it's gonna go on. That's why it's this like background like noise, this fuzz that's happening. He's made his
Whether
decision.
he's a part of it or not.
Exactly, right? So that's the kind of idea there. Let's get into Bleach. So Bleach, again, this I think is the first song that I demoed. This was the very first song that I like put any like notes of music down on at all. And again, the guitar melody here was written on guitar first and then transcribed to the score, and then I wrote the song out from there. I was in my apartment in New York. I didn't have a name for it yet. It wasn't until I actually came and visited BIP, and we bleached some of my black jeans so that it had like these orange spots on it. And so that line, it's turning orange and black, is from that. Like it's like like there's other like concepts in it as well, but like there was something so I don't know. I can't really describe it. There was something so like impactful for me, us doing that, like bleaching the jeans, and like I had this like moment of like, oh man, it's like this is like a purifying thing, right? Like bleach is meant to like kill like bacteria and like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this shows you my morbid brain. The way that the protagonist goes is he drinks bleach. This is how he goes. This is what he decides to do to like metaphorically cleanse himself from the world and also cleanse his like internal whatever, right? Like this is the way he decides to go. And so the last like words that you hear, the first line on this song is "It's time. Give it just a moment, you'll be fine." Right? Like it's him like kind of coming to terms with like, you know, like I imagine the Grim Reaper with the stick, like, hey, it's time, bud. It's time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who's gonna know the difference if you lie and just smile as the strangers pass you by? Like all this stuff. It's like very, you know, like he's gone.
Yes.
He's gone now, right? Like, and he's like going through with this. And the tragedy of it is now we know Pensive is the end of this. He thought that people didn't care, but he was so stuck in his own world, and people did care. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like that's like the true tragedy, is that life did go on. Life went on without him. You know, it's I don't know what else to say. But anyway,
the album literally starts and he's already gone.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Wow.
So anyway. The MIDI is very robotic and whatever, but like this is meant to be very like natural and whatever.
Yeah.
But these synths. This is like, so the synths here are important because it's like the pulse. Literally, it's like the pulse. It's like his pulse, right? This like. And has this like shimmery quality to it, and you'll hear like later in it, there's a moment where everything cuts out and it's just the pulse happening before he comes back in for the first time singing on the chorus. I'm washing you away. So like, I don't know. there's a lot of like very like literal. So Mandy said this is my favorite song of the album besides Forever and Not Ready. Yeah.
So good.
Bleach is one of my favorites. This was the hardest to record when I eventually had to record this and sing the vocals. Hard for two reasons, right? Like it's a very heavy song, but also it destroyed my vocals. The screaming in it was nightmarish to do. And but here's another moment where the bass is very like telling its own story, right?
Yes.
It's very purposefully dissonant with the guitar melody that's going on. It's like very simple and plotting, but like it's this like march forward, right? Like it's this march forward of everything. So anyway, the moment I wanted to get to later is this moment when the pulse is all that's left. Anyway, and then the singing happens. I'm washing you away. I'll make it through today. All that stuff. It's very literal. It's just a very like literal interpretation of it. And then it keeps going, and his final thoughts before actually going through with everything, the final like singing before the final chorus is, I'd give it all for just another chance. And the irony is he is giving it all, and he's not getting another chance. Which is again this cautionary tale. This is like all of it is meant to be cautionary when we're not careful with people and like thoughts and feelings like this. When we let them go unchecked, when we let them get out of control. But this, and then I changed to 4/4, and this is a very like My Chemical Romance, Black Parade like thing. Is this march of death. Like I was alluding to this march to the grave, which is like not just a My Chemical Romance thing, but like, you know, that phrase of marching to the grave. I wanted to change to 4/4 for a moment. And that's why it's this very like methodic march in this last moments as he is drinking the bleach and it's over for him. So So it's like this march forward. It's this kind of final march to the end. And then in the final moments, you know, the voicemail happens. And I took this also from the song Sediment from Say Anything's last album, Oliver Appropriate, where there's this like lullaby happening at the end. You know, obviously like signifying like he's going to sleep per se. And in that moment, in the actual like final version, it's his last word to her voicemail, which obviously she's not there to pick it up. But it's this, that's why they say it comes in waves. Before you learn the two most important phrases, the first, I love you more than ever, followed by goodbye forever. And then her final words, forever, echoing as it all comes to an end. So that's what's happening here. It's going to be loud. 1 sec. it's over, and then it just ends. That is how the album ends. Again, and the like real world, like coincidence, irony, whatever, is again, this was the first song I wrote.
Right.
So, and it's the last song on the album, and I knew that there was like some poetry in that. So when I was like writing the concept for Bleach, or sorry, for Gone, for the whole album, I had this song, and honestly, Gone is a result of this song being
Right.
written. Like I had this, and I knew that I wanted this to be something, and so I basically wrote the whole album around this ending, around this song, and it culminated into that. So
It actually really worked out like that.
I also agree. I think it did work out in that
Yeah.
way. That's it. That's the concept. That's the
So
whole album.
sad.
Again, spoilers. Obviously, it's too late for the spoiler warning, but those were the. That's the. Mandy said, "Oh, so good." The lyrics, chef's kiss.
So good.
So I had been sitting on these songs, like I said, for like almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And it was this albatross around my neck. I had to like get it out into the world. And I demoed all of this stuff, and then decided it was too convoluted and too complicated, and nobody would listen to my first thing being a concept album about death. So I then proceeded to write the EP after I finished demoing all that stuff, and then released the EP instead. And honestly, I think it worked out better. I think that was a better for like transition into this, like a ramp into this.
Yeah.
And like it was a good like learning experience for me too. So it's hard for me. Like it's an interesting thing, and Molly, you and I have talked about this already a lot, but like the songs, I like the songs on Where the Heart Is better, but it's because literally I wrote those after this. Like I felt like I
had more experience writing these
yeah,
songs,
I felt like I learned more from this, from Gone, that helped the writing for Where the Heart Is. Yeah. So yeah, I need to watch the kitten videos after watching this album. Geez, after listening to this album. Geez, that's what my sister said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a feel good album. It's a cautionary tale. But it's one that so Mandy alluded to this earlier, and it is meant to give you hope, right? Like we get to watch this or listen to this story and use it as a cautionary tale, and like maybe get a little bit of hope for like ourselves. I'm glad you finished this.
At the beginning / end,
Yeah.
you see that there's a whole support system that he just cut out.
Yeah.
Because he was just so focused on himself.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. It was all very intentional. Like now that I say it out loud and like it's out in the air, hopefully it's like very obvious, and like the concept of the album and like what was going on behind it. But like Mandy said earlier, it's supposed to give you a little bit of hope. Like it's sad, like it's definitely weighty and heavy of an album, but it's meant to give you a little bit of like it's like when you watch a sad movie, you know what I mean? Like and you're like inspired after it.
Yes.
Because you're like I'm gonna like live my life better because of this. So anyway, Lindsay did a great job with the art, and that's where the like flower concept comes from. So hopefully hopefully it all makes sense now. Like the life goes on, growing out of like the death that happens. Life going on in that way. So like I said, Where the Heart Is, I personally like those songs better, but we produced Gone like we did more on Gone in terms of production, and I have Caleb Hicks again to thank very deeply for that, for like taking these demos and turning it into what would eventually become the final album.
Yeah.
Now the next thing is just to combine the two, right? Like get this good songwriting and the high production value, and I think it'll be interesting because the next thing that comes out will be newer songs. These songs that just came out are the oldest songs that I've written. So it's going to be a real roundhouse kick in the face when these new songs come out, I think.
Yeah, I think it will.
and I'm going like there's a story. So like for those of you who are uninitiated, Mostly Strangers, like obviously like I'm writing the songs and everything, but it's its own world and concept. So there's a logical next step after Gone that we'll get into. It's this whole life goes on kind of concept. So the next stuff is not going to be so dark and heavy, I promise. There's always going to be a little bit of it in there, like a twinge, but like there's definitely more. You need it. We need it after this album. A little bit of hope, like like direct hopefulness. So that is, that's the concept, and that's the walkthrough of the album. It only took us 3 hours. You were on for 2.5, but yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Molly. Yeah, thanks for coming on and keeping me sane and making me feel like I'm not just talking to the void here.
I like looking behind the curtain.
Like I mentioned, I have another so Molly and I do a podcast, the Molly and Jim Boy podcast. Has nothing to do with Mostly Strangers, but I'm doing a different podcast, and like I mentioned a little bit earlier in the stream, I interviewed Caleb Hicks, who's the producer for this album. Be on the lookout for that. That'll be coming out hopefully soon, where we kind of talk a little bit more about like the actual production side of it. So that's why I didn't go any of that today, because this is kind of the origins of it, and we go into more of the production on that episode of the podcast. Again, be on the lookout for that. Any other kind of questions or thoughts? I know you're like ready to sleep, but any other questions or thoughts before we wrap up?
6 a.m.
Yeah, I got to go to work tomorrow too, so I'm sure everyone does. Hey, those of you, jobs, who needs them?
Yeah.
Those of you watching, thank you so much for commenting and watching, and if you're watching this after the fact, thanks for sticking through it. Hopefully this was interesting, and hopefully this has inspired. If you haven't listened to the album, thanks for giving us this insight into your beautiful album. Thanks, Mandy. Hopefully, if for those of you who have not listened to the album yet,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? First and
Log
foremost,
off right now.
And secondly, hopefully this has inspired you to listen to it. Maybe you'll get a little bit more, and maybe even those of you who have listened to it already, you'll maybe listen to it again and kind of get a different appreciation for what's happening and the concepts behind it. Okay, I said earlier while you were gone, Molly, that I have like an announcement, I guess, like a thing that I'm going to say. You know this, I already told you this, but so I'm going to be taking a social media hiatus after this. I'm going to be taking the next couple of weeks just completely off of social media. I've been so in the weeds with clicks and like stuff with the album, and it's been such a long process. I need a break. So I'm not going to make like a wild like Facebook post or anything about it. This is your notice if you happen to be watching this, that I'll be gone off of social media for a little bit. But like, you know, if you have my phone number, reach out. Like I said, I'm going to be in Georgia next week, and I'll be back and forth between here and Georgia a couple of times. Molly, you're coming up to see me, which is going to be exciting for my birthday.
I'm so excited.
That's going to be super fun. But yeah, I'm basically planning on being off of social media from now until like after my birthday. So that's your notice. But thanks again for sticking with it. Thanks for listening, and hopefully this has inspired you to listen to the album more. But that's it. Thanks so much for joining. We're going to go to bed now.
Yes.
Cool. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.